That's a bad one. I'm sorry. We're gonna do that one over. Welcome, everyone. I am Satanic Massacre. And welcome to.
That's for fucking up the first time. Do it again.
Welcome, everybody.
Give it to me.
No, you're not taking this from me. This is the only thing you can do it in the bonus episodes. You're not doing it on the right. Welcome, everyone. I am Satanic Massacre.
No, get it fucking right. Like, welcome, everyone. You fucking forgot who you were? Just do it right. Like, you got to set the tone right. Like, really, you got to get this off to a good start. Otherwise, none of it's going to go.
In the first aeon, I was the Great Spirit. In the second aeon, men knew me as the Horned God, Pangenitor, Panphage. In the third aeon, I was the Dark One, the Devil. In the fourth aeon, men knew me not, for I am the Hidden One. In the fifth aeon, I appeared before you as Baphomet, the God before all gods, who shall endure to the end of the earth. In this new aeon, I appear to you as CMN.
Imagine that there is a brilliant white light just above.
Is commentary on the magic art.
In the years of the primal force and the dawn of terrestrial birth.
Oh, that was very educational.
Now magic will take place. Don't be fooled by what I just said.
Welcome, everyone. I am Satanic Massacre Kennedy, and this is Chaos Magic News. We put the held in being held hostage. Joining me is my... What's your name this week? Chorizo Melendez?
Oh, yeah. Funny story. Chorizo Melendez is the name of someone who followed us on Instagram this morning. I was like, oh, man, that's a great name. I could have been Chorizo Melendez this whole time. Man, wish I had thought of that name. And then I realized, like, no one was stopping me from taking it. So, yeah, balls in your court, Chorizo.
You better hope you listen to the podcast. If you're just following for the memes, who knows how long your identity is going to be stolen.
It's going to be too late. By then, I'll be hanging out with your family. You know, your kids will be calling me dad. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be really awkward for you.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Can't complain yet.
Wouldn't do any good, would it?
No, it would not.
That's a thing that gets said at my workplace constantly.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing that they would say.
Yeah.
We got a great show this week for you.
We certainly do.
We're going to start by talking about something very near and dear to our hearts that we've been doing for the last, month or so? I know I've been going since Mardi Gras, and I think you were doing stuff a little before then.
I was kind of heading in that direction, and then you offered up a nomenclature for this.
Yeah. This is our new tradition.
This is our new thing, and this is really a missionary, an act of proselytizing. We're trying to convert you.
It's a sales pitch.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a sales pitch.
We're going to get you on board with our hot new thing,
and that new thing is Minnesota Voodoo,
and you can too.
Yes. Now, let me explain to you folks the origins of our fine tradition of Minnesota Voodoo.
The grand lineage of Minnesota Voodoo.
Wow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Voodoo is a tradition that comes from the African diaspora, right? It comes from the movement of traditional African beliefs into
island
territories, that sort of thing. Yeah,
Haiti's the big one that people think of course.
Right, but it's also, and it's very big now in like Louisiana and areas like that in the
where
States
the Holy
too,
Trinity is.
Where the French influence is.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. Many people will tell you, and possibly quite rightly, that voodoo is sort of a closed tradition.
You can't just decide, oh, I'm going to go do voodoo.
Right. You can't just read a book and say, I'm doing voodoo now. I'm sure there have been books written like that, but for the most people seem to think that the authentic traditions you have to be taught and have them administered to you by some sort of, if not a direct authority, but just someone at least within this line of teaching. And that's all good, and we applaud it. But
For everyone who can't get in, there's Minnesota Voodoo.
yes, there's Minnesota Voodoo.
So it's the big tent, the big tent of the holy lineage of Minnesota Voodoo.
Well, I've been telling everyone the origin of Minnesota Voodoo is the fine practitioners who performed voodoo at the time where the Vikings were living in Minnesota. As many people will tell you, many people in Minnesota and only people in Minnesota will tell you.
Oh no! I mean, look, like, you guys remember Leif Erikson? It's like him. You know, they brought voodoo over with them.
Not them specifically, but there was they had a voodoo person with them.
Leif Erikson was taught voodoo and brought it over to the Americas. All right, that's the story we're going with.
Specifically in Minnesota.
Yeah. He got that far and said, "All right, we're gonna stop. Hope someone names a football team after us later."
What does that mean as far as actual practicing? Like, how do you become a Minnesota Voodoo?
First, you give me $1.
Okay, in all seriousness, the origins of this sort of idea really just comes from the other classic voodoo appropriation text, Michael Burdio's Gnostic Voodoo Workbook, which, as many people will tell you,
I haven't shut up about Burdio for the past couple months.
Well, we both, I rediscovered Burdio around sometime towards the end of last year. I started getting really interested in his writings again. So, and you were always kind of back and forth on him. You knew more about him than I did at the time.
Yeah, I got a real love-hate relationship. I love to hate him, but I hate that I love him. No, but really, I've gone back and forth. The first time I read Gnostic Voodoo, and it's like, this is utter dog shit. And then I softened on it. And then it was sort of like, well, this was clearly written by someone who was trying to get you to take his classes, and he was explicitly telling you things like, if you want to know more, you just send me a letter and put a $50 bill, put a $50 bill in the envelope and send it to me. Maybe I'll tell you the actual secret. So, like I said I think I said it in the Patreon episodes, or maybe it was one of the previous episodes, but I got really hard on Michael Kelly for that shit. And then it's like, well, you like Burdio. And it's like, Burdio does that. But also, objectively, either way, I'm not giving either of them money. So what's it matter?
Objectively, spiders and voodoo and Shinto, what was it called? Shintotronics or something?
Yeah.
Are objectively cooler than dragons with multiple heads that aren't even dragons.
I don't know, man. Dragons are pretty cool. But no, I will still say that I think Burdio's work is probably better than what Kelly's produced, but that's a subjective value assessment.
I think and I will be the first to admit that I have not pored over the works of Michael Kelly. What we read in that episode and what I had read before are the extent of what I've seen of his writings. I haven't seen anything that I thought was interesting or innovative from Michael Kelly. I've seen rephrasings and reworkings, and the changing of aesthetics from Michael Kelly is mostly what I saw.
Either way, not very vital in the grand scheme of things.
No, I think it is, because it's important to point out why we would be interested in something as goofy on its face sounding as Gnostic Voodoo Workbook. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. Again, we will establish that Michael Burdio, as far as I am actually aware, does have some connection to actual voodoo practices and weird occult things going on at the time. The man gets around, or the man got around.
Absolutely. I mean, and he was a contemporary of Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant thought very highly of him, spread him around. Kenneth Grant was good for that. He spread other, right? He elevated other people, which is admirable.
Even in the Gnostic Voodoo Workbook, Burdio points out people that he has various lineage and connections to.
Yeah, and I think I said it at some point when we were talking about the notion of fictitious teachers, probably in the Carl Castaneda's Don Juan episode, that there's benefits to having a sort of mythologized fictional founder or teacher guru. But then it turned out Hector Germain, or however you say it, is totally a real person. His there's photos of him you can find, and people who will tell you I met him. So either Burdio really took it even further than Castaneda, where he like got an actor and paid him to. Oh man, that would have been great. Just get a
Well, that's like the Carlos Castaneda thing that apparently people were claiming that Castaneda sent like Doom impersonators around to people and stuff like that.
Wait, did you say Doom impersonators?
Yeah.
like how MF Doom would send like
Well, like, yes, like how MF Doom did and how Dr. Doom did. That's the whole point.
Dr. Doom sent robots. He sent Doom bots.
I mean, same difference.
No, but
I've
MF
never seen this person. They
one of
could have
them's
been a robot.
Look, the point is that I thought that Michael Berdio was lying about his magic voodoo teacher, but he's a real person. And I think the implication, like the worst critique you could make is that, oh, well, the guy that Berdio learned from and did this work with was full of shit.
Which is entirely
and Berdio
possible.
didn't have and Berdio was either too dumb or didn't care that it was fake. I'd probably lean towards didn't care if it was fake, because in the same way that Kenneth Grant thinks Lovecraft is really useful and important, even though it's admitted fiction.
I think Berdio's actual work has clearly has a place beyond the simple dualism of fiction and versus reality. But as far as Berdio's relation to voodoo itself, I think it's interesting because what he's doing in that is a lot of what like Crowley was doing with ceremonial magic. He takes aspects of it and syncretizes them with various other things. Like, again, he uses Freudian models very frequently throughout that book. He talks about, id and superego, and he also uses unconscious, subconscious, and superconscious in varying different ways. So that's an interesting little development on that as well.
Berdio or Crowley?
Berdio.
Okay, because Crowley also...
Well, Crowley has aspects of it. Crowley famously said Adler was his favorite psychologist.
Right. But Berdio, he also even talks about the notion, he takes Freud and then extrapolates further, where it's not only is there the personal id, but there's the transpersonal id and the transcendental id.
Right. What he has done is taken various aspects of what we would call traditional voodoo, hoodoo, and created, or if not created a system wholesale, introduced aspects of more familiar Western esoteric kind of practices, I think would maybe be the term I'd use for it, and then further syncretize them with that sort of OTO Gnostic phallospermatics kind of religious ideas.
Oh, absolutely. The emphasis on sexual energies and the incredible phallic cultist type of symbolism that he uses throughout these books are very prominent. And that's the thing that ultimately is important to think about, is that Gnostic voodoo is, or at least as Berdio really says, it's thelemic in a lot of ways. It's even described as the Zertherian and the rites of Zom are wrapped up in the current aeon of Thelema. That's all real high-minded stuff. The bigger issue, the more important facet of all of this is, how do we let the honkies do voodoo? Look, they're not going to let you in. You're going to have to do a lot of work, and you're going to have to try to know the right people. And even then, you're still going to be some crackerjack trying to come in and take what isn't yours. And they're going to say, get out of my lane. You need an out. And what is that out? Minnesota Voodoo.
The Minnesota Voodoo, the legally and metaphysically distinct traditions of Minnesota Voodoo. And here's the thing about Minnesota Voodoo is, as far as your initiation into the practice, what you have to do is look at a video on voodoo or read a little bit of a book on voodoo, just enough that you think I got this figured out. You know that normal feeling you get whenever you're reading something and you kind of think you're understanding it, but you don't actually know shit about it at all?
I get where this is going, I think.
You stop right there. Stop immediately. Stop.
Don't learn anything else.
If one more bit of information will ruin the whole thing. So then what you do is you go to your desk or you go to your bedroom, your table, wherever you got something. Get a piece of paper, a pencil, an envelope, a candle, and a glass. You write, "Dear Minnesota Voodoo spirits, please accept me that I may do that voodoo that you do." Sign your magical name. You can think of a new one right now. For instance, when I started doing this, I was in quotation marks. I like it when you call me Big Papa Legba.
It's so fucking dumb.
No, but you write your name on the thing.
You write your name.
Put it. You fold it up.
Put it in the envelope.
You put it in an envelope.
Seal it with the wax, right?
Well, you can just lick it because it's not 1700s anymore.
Oh, okay.
You light the candle. You say your little prayer. You say hoodoo, I do 3 times. And then you go to any mailbox and you drop it in. And in 3 to 5 business days.
Okay, no. Where do you address? Where do you
You
address
don't.
these?
You don't. If you did the hoodoo right, they'll know which mailbox you put it in. These are spirits. You think they gotta?
Oh, the spirits are gonna come get the mail.
Who do you said, dear hoodoo spirits? You said spirits of Minnesota Voodoo.
But you don't put a thing on the envelope.
They'll know. They're gonna know.
Okay.
What are you worried? And what if they don't? What's the problem?
All right.
Someone's gonna find your mail and they're gonna know it's you.
No, I just
You
meant
wrote.
like the.
I like it when you call me Big Papa Legba on there.
Okay, so in 3 to 5 business days.
Yeah, in 3 to 5 business
the spirits
days.
will contact you.
Yeah, and you'll have to probably go sit at your desk again, light your candle again, maybe sit there for a minute and just think on it. Think, what would it be like if some voodoo spirits talked to me? And then they'll do it and you'll be really freaked out. And then you just go from there. Now, whenever you learn anything about voodoo in any context, right? Any context, doesn't matter what specific tradition, it doesn't matter what person told you this, but if you hear it, you can now use it and know that it is not the one that they are referring to, but we of the Minnesota Voodoo have a version of virtually every single practice that has been done in voodoo or claiming to be voodoo. And it's, again, legally and metaphysically distinct. It's completely different. No one can be mad at you that, you gave crack to Papa Legba or whatever. Because no, this is my own Papa Legba.
No longer,
this is a completely different thing, I promise you.
Yeah. You are no longer dishonoring or insulting anyone else's particular lineage. You are not making any claims of authenticity that you don't have. You will tell people when they ask who initiated you, you say, I was initiated by the spirits of the holy lineage of Minnesota Voodoo.
Right.
And then they will know what you're about.
Right. There's only 3
They will
rules.
know exactly what you're about.
What is this about? What are we making? What statement are we making here?
What we're saying is that I think if we did have to actually make a point about this other than just joking about how funny, because we got serious about Birdio for a second and then now we're doing this again. But no, I think the point that we were making is that ultimately within the framework of chaos magic and occultism, it is our personal belief that if you are self-aware enough, if you are not making any claims to a lineage or a practice that is not truly yours, and you are being as sensible and respectful as possible when it comes to other people, you can be as goofy and silly and out of pocket as you want when you're in your own house. No one's going to come over to my house and say, hey, you got that drawn in the wrong color. I'm going to, I'll slap the taste out your mouth. Minnesota Voodoo in this bitch. But if you can do those things and keep your wits about you, there is no harm being done to any. And this isn't just voodoo. This is everything. This is literally any tradition or belief or magical practice that you can find. And if something resonates with you, you owe it to yourself to explore it. Just don't let it. There's nothing worse than somebody who thinks that they are a representative or a speaker for something that is not theirs.
Right.
At the same time, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something for Papa Legba because you didn't go down to Nolans and have somebody teach you the super secret shit.
Yeah,
you can just tell them Minnesota Voodoo, baby. For most coyotes, that's not going to be an issue. Saying you can't do that never stopped anybody.
Right.
But if you really need that out, like you said, grab a $5 bill, right? dear spirits of lucky hoodoo.
Actually,
And
no,
send it to-
because there's 3 rules of Minnesota Voodoo that you must follow, or you'll be disempowered by the spirits and forever thrown into the darkness, the Ohio darkness.
Do we have any notable Ohio listeners?
Notable as in that we know them,
Like homies,
or like people that like listen to it that are notable Ohioans.
I'm just
Like, I don't think the governor listens to us there.
okay. I just don't want to say like, man, that is an appropriate thing for Ohio, and then have somebody be like, I'm from Ohio.
Say, I'm sorry. Do you have a flashlight?
Yeah. All right. What are the rules?
The 3 rules are: 1, you can make no claim to authority of Minnesota Voodoo or other types of voodoo. All Minnesota Voodooans are eternal students of the craft of Minnesota Voodoo, because you always have something new to learn.
All right.
2, you have to be respectful in Minnesota Voodoo. If someone tells you something that, they're offended by something you do, try to understand why they would be offended and hold your ground. Don't kowtow to anyone telling you that you can't do it, but try to understand why they might be offended and see if it's that important to your practice. And 3, any failures of the Minnesota Voodoo are blamed solely on people who think Minnesota Voodoo is a bad idea. Their negative thoughts are keeping it from happening.
It's your lack of faith in Minnesota Voodoo that is fucking up our magic.
Yeah. Because all of you are what we call haters
You guys
in
are
the tradition.
yeah. So remember, kids, if you have become a Minnesota Voodoo and you couldn't get a spell to work, it's probably because your parents, roommates, or significant other is not taking this seriously, and you need to get them to join as well.
Also,
Make 'em write it
people on
the paper.
Twitter.
Yeah, especially people on Twitter.
And this isn't a rule, but this is just something you need to know as a Minnesota Voodoo. If you break any of those rules, right? If you doubt the powers of Minnesota Voodoo, for instance, or if you, say something really messed up to somebody when they tell you that maybe you shouldn't be trying to give Minnesota Voodoo baptisms outside the Catholic Church, you can absolve yourself by sending $5
Here we go.
to the ordained Pope of Minnesota Voodoo. Their name is Chorizo Melendez, and their preferred way of getting that money is $5 a month via the Chaos Magic News Patreon. For $5 a month, any of those rules you break will be forgiven. Like, you have to go deal with them still. You have to deal with the consequences of your actions. But like, metaphysically, the hoodoo spirits are like, all right, we're still here, but watch your step.
You'll be right as rain. All right. Now, before we move on to the next section, Satanic Massacre. What can you tell us about how embracing the spirits of Minnesota Voodoo has changed your life?
Well, I actually have someone else I think would like to talk about that.
Who's the other person? Who?
Hi. It's me. It's Johnny Francis.
Johnny Francis, you're a Minnesota Voodoo?
That's right.
Oh, God. We shouldn't have let everyone in.
But you can't. You already said you couldn't. I paid the $5. Now, let me tell you, before Minnesota Voodoo, I used to walk around saying, that's your job. That's your job. And it was everyone else's job. And then I realized that, no, this was my job. And my job was to do the voodoo that you do. So I wrote a letter on the note and I sent it in the mailbox. And then the voodoo spirits contacted me in 3 to 5 Johnny, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like you're just reading this off the cue cards. Like, did you actually do... I did not do the practices as I was instructed. The $5 I was given was very interesting. And I decided the best use of my time would be to buy a Whopper. Johnny, you realize that if you had instead invested that $5 in the CMN Patreon and gotten the Minnesota Voodoo powers, you could have just gotten like a Whopper. Really? Yeah. This is, can I have another $5? I'd like to try
No,
this.
Johnny. No.
Johnny,
No.
this was your one shot to be in more episodes. You know that, right? I want to be in more.
Just cut his mic. Cut his mic. Get him out.
Well, Well, that was disappointing, and I want to apologize for Johnny to all the listeners.
I think the only way we can keep this show on the tracks before we descend into absolute nonsensical babbling and meandering and carrying on with stories that go nowhere and character bits would be to take a moment, everyone collect themselves, have a deep breath, and do the age-old adage in chaos magic of banishing with laughter.
Ah, that's right. That's right. I don't have any good ones this week, though.
You son of a... For those who might not be familiar with this segment yet, Banished with Laughter is where we take a quick look at the internet and all of the kooky nonsense of occultism from everyone's favorite source of entertainment, internet crazy people. But we have a couple laughs as a quick little palate cleanser before we get on to the news, as it were. So what have you got for us this week?
I have a picture of Christine Weston Chandler next to a picture of George Washington in a Masonic regalia.
And they both have the checkered pattern floor, right?
Yep.
I know the one you're
Yep,
talking
they
about.
do. Do you remember what the text said?
Oh no.
A tool of the Illuminati, ? The Kiwi Farms and Null are handlers with deep state power over him. It's no wonder I can't get through. It's by design. Chris is not allowed to have true friends no matter what comes up. Go ahead and try to be a true friend. It can't happen by design of the deep state Satanists who feed off his power. Like, I know that's a bit, but
That has to be a fucking
It's
bit.
gotta
right?
be
That
one,
has to be a
right?
fucking bit,
like,
right?
you can't believe that. But
Okay,
But
okay.
part of me has seen so many terrible Masonic conspiracies in the last like week and a half for worse reasons than I can explain right now. But so many of them, and they're not that far off, you know what I mean? Like, this is a little too close to what someone would actually think. This could be a real
definitely
one.
like Poe's Law, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things though, as far as these conspiracies surrounding, especially, I don't want to use the word celebrity for Chris, but you know, lolcow, internet personality, internet phenomena, whatever.
Notable people.
Yeah. But there's going to be, that's the thing, because you know that there are people that are just as bonkers as Chris Chan that buy into Chris Chan's idea. So I guess it's that once you get that far, it's only a couple more skips, hops, and jumps to get to the people surrounding Chris have negative intentions and they're leeching off of the Godhead. My money still says this is a bit. It's like, God, it's got to be, right? But it's not that far.
Yeah, it's not far enough to make me feel comfortable with just being like, oh, this is a funny meme.
The fact that you have to sit there and question it for a second.
The other one, and I'll just make this one quick because it's I think someone, I don't know, folks, just it's a picture of I think that's Willem Dafoe and Amber Heard, and it says Japanese buns, LOL. Amber, parentheses, Scarlet Woman, ran to the stars, parentheses, Babylon. Amber Heard, like, Amber, we heard you and you lost Babylon. Then they show her on TV a Marshalls, parentheses, ex-god of war at Marshalls, the Mars and Shells. They didn't have to downgrade her so much shopping there. It was on TMZ, kind of rude. Then a couple months later, Tommy, who played the Green Ranger, passed. The green dragon Zord that rose out of the sea. Get it? Rose out of the sea? Anyway.
Did it just end on
Yes,
anyway?
Anyway. Like he was talking to you in an elevator.
No, you know that's what happened. Someone hit the speech to text on their phone and just held it up to the crazy guy on the street. He's like, anyway. And then he wandered off to get his basket of newspapers or whatever.
Let's just run through the highlights of this one. I love it. It's like Amber Heard is the Scarlet Woman. Why? Babylon.
She's got red hair.
Babylon gets thrown out there like 4 times. Marshalls, like the store Marshalls is Marshall, like Mars.
Yeah, like Marshall sounds like Marshall.
Yeah,
so
right.
they're the
This
same.
is definitely some realize.
There's a name for that though. There's a name for that thing where it's like the idea of by listening to what things, it's the things sound like things, but it's an idea that by picking apart the phonetic sounds of words, you discover the hidden meaning behind them.
I mean, yeah, that's what Heidegger did too, but you have to do that in like German or something. You can't do that in English. You know what English language is? English language is like, hey,
It's
you guys
like
got a word
3
for that?
Minnesotans.
That's my word
and a
now.
Viking trying to tell you about voodoo.
Those are just 2 quick ones. They're nothing particularly good this week, but I did like I'm still trying to figure out what the hell the Green Ranger dying has to do with any of that.
Illuminati sacrifice. They did it as part of a psychic attack on Christian, obviously.
Oh man, what's the name of the guy who played the Green Ranger? Jason David Frank. Rip dates Jason David Frank, but
That's one of those other hallmarks of celebrity orientated conspiracies is that anytime one of them dies, it's a sacrifice. Like it was Illuminati.
oh yeah, dude, because that's the people. You know what I mean? Like the people, the vital celebrity energy. Let's get Jason
man.
David Frank.
Oh man, okay. I remember hearing somebody say that D Boone from the Minutemen.
Yeah.
Now, okay, for everyone that just went, who? Exactly. Exactly. So they said that D Boone got famous by killing one of his friends as an Illuminati sacrifice. It's like, oh yeah, what?
Word.
When? Where? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love them. They're Double Nickels on the Dime is an iconic album. Immortalized Forever is doing the Jackass theme. But that's
D Boone?
Yeah, that's as far as you guys got for killing somebody.
Well, he killed one person. You got to do a bunch. Like Tom Cruise killed like 300 people like last week.
Just did it.
Just
for the-
cause.
Just to do it. He was already famous. He didn't have to do it anymore. They're like, Tom, please stop. And he's like, no.
Tom
no.
goes to Palestine every day.
Oh, now I'm sad.
Me too. All right. Well, in that case, it's time to go to everyone's favorite segment, and we're gonna make a real protracted effort here to have a good one this time. I'm talking about you specifically. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna freak out about. You know what? In fact, I need to tell everyone this, right? You remember how Gary and co-host both freaked out about how great the Chernobyl wolves are? You know how awesome it is?
It was literally the only good news story in that entire segment.
Yeah, guess what? We had done that one already. How did that headline get in there? Like, well, here's the thing. It must have been like a news specific discovery, but the basic notion of Chernobyl wolves having mutant X-Men powers, which was the same joke I made in both episodes, by the way.
What was the episode where we talked about it?
In 16, Dragon Pilled and Other in-jokes.
Is that the one where we talk about creepypastas?
I think it might have been, yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We cared way less about it that time. You guys were really into it.
Well, sometimes you know what? I will loop this whole thing together. It's Bertio, right? Sometimes you're not in the right place for something to resonate in the way that it needs to. And then when it comes back around, it's like, oh, this is when I needed to hear this. And I'll tell you, last time we were recording, I really needed to hear about the Chernobyl wolves. I've literally been telling myself lately, like, man, if the wolves can make it through Chernobyl, I can make it through this. It's my new mantra.
Well, in that case, would you like to...
So you started this trying to be all negative and shit, and I'm just telling you, nah, bro. The Chernobyl wolves had to make a comeback because that was when I needed them most.
Well, you know what? I'm
wolves,
sorry.
Why is it in my darkest times?
There's only
Only
4
one-
sets of footprints. Is that was when the pack dragged you by your
That's when
neck
they dragged-
to take you back to the
I
young.
dragged you. That's when I dragged you by your neck. Oh, God. Love that. All right. Well, I guess there's only one question left.
What's that noise?
Oh, no. So 2 questions. We'll be right back. So, I know what you're thinking. As the segment started, I'll tell you, in all the confusion, I've forgotten myself. There's just one thing you got to ask yourself. What's in the news? Well, what's in the news? Punk.
That is so dumb. Why did I let you do it? You gave me all the warning in the world. I could have stopped that.
What's in the news?
Oh, nothing good.
Ceasefire talks for Israel and Gaza.
Good.
Like too little, too late. I mean, when we started this, we were like, we were fence sitting. I think we just didn't want to come out and say like, oh, Israel's fucked up, and if you support Israel, you're a garbage human being and all that stuff. Like, I just think at this point,
it's impossible to deny it.
You cannot look at the casualties and the damage that have been inflicted on the Palestinian people and think that it's justified. You just can't. The only thing you can do is that you have blinded yourself to the reality of it.
I don't think my overall opinions have changed on the sense of the violence needs to stop immediately. And it was different when it was the immediate violence and then the Israeli response. It was a lot harder to look at this as anything other than like tensions flaring really high and trying to get back to some sense of normalcy so we can do something productive. But at this point, it's genocide. Literal genocide.
Israel has found their excuse to wipe the Palestinians off of the map. And that's why the prospect of this ceasefire is like, what are they going to have to promise Israel?
We promise that you can inspect the insides of every baby for bombs.
Yeah,
with AK-47s.
Yeah, you know, I think you said it not too long ago in the Discord. A large portion, maybe not the vast majority, maybe not even a simple majority, but a large chunk of America is looking at what's going on, saying, "Yeah, this is fucked up," but I not only have no way of stopping it or doing anything about it, but I also expected nothing less from America in general, because we spend the most on the military. We have bases in every single country we've ever set foot in, and we are just shit kickers. We didn't even have to kill anybody this time. We just had to not stop it. So why are you shocked? You know what I mean?
It's a stark reality. You have to ask yourself and wonder why we have a two-party system that seems so adamantly set on supporting Israel to begin with.
They'll argue about bathrooms and
they'll argue about bathrooms, but the two things they'll never argue about are supporting Israel militarily and financially, and they'll never
killing
stop
protesters.
Well, that's what. No, there's another thing they can agree on: busting up unions.
Yeah.
Giving the capitalists exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And pretending to care about things.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So that's that. In better news, Donald Trump is gonna win the Missouri whatever. Why are we actually reporting this? Why is this a headline? Well, like Trump won another fucking primary? Like, who the fuck cares?
It's because for some people it's not a foregone conclusion. We've already said that.
Who? Like people that have intense brain damage? Like people who have been hit? Like with concussions?
People who were sleepy the whole time.
People who have been hey, I've been sleeping since about 2016 till now. Gesundheit, Kitter Cat. Poor boy. He's the sneezy boy. He got allergies. You know what that is, listeners? That's our co-host Cat being allergic to all the bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we already said it. What are we gonna have? It's gonna be Trump, Biden, unless one of them slips and falls on a banana peel. I guess
they take a trip to the Mitch McConnell Stare Emporium.
The Mitch McConnell Memorial Stare Emporium.
Oh yeah, well I guess that's right into another headline. Then Mitch McConnell said he's going to step down.
Yeah, too much like Henry Kissinger. The guy got to drill as many holes in the boat as possible and then take the quick way out. Did all the damage in the world. Nobody stopped him. People are going like, "Yay! At least he's gone now." And it's like,
man, I'm really glad that the bear's gone after he
killed all of my third graders. But you know what? Now he's gone.
Well, you know what? In a way, I guess you would be happy, wouldn't you?
I guess like because
he killed all the third graders. I'm still alive.
Well, I guess the problem is like it's not because the bear metaphor doesn't even work unless it's like, oh man, I'm really glad it's going to be a different bear that comes in and starts mauling my third graders.
No, what it is that all the third graders got mauled and I've been given a fatal injury that I will now bleed out, but at least the bear left.
Mhm.
So I'll just bleed to death.
Now Kentucky's already doing everything they can to keep their Democrat governor from being able to appoint somebody that would not be as bad as Mitch McConnell.
What? So like
Literally anybody. They just want to take away his ability to appoint somebody. So what they're probably going to do is like create a clone of McConnell,
God,
and throw him up there.
his head's gonna go in one of the Futurama jars, and they'll put him on a bender robot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a shiny new body.
Yeah.
And when I blue screen on this, you just hit the button on the back.
Literally just turning him off and turning him back on.
Speaking of conservatives in stupid areas doing stupid things, Alabama, anyone?
Oh, a fertilized embryo is a person.
Yeah, and it's destroyed in vitro fertilization. This is, you remember, we used to say this on the show a lot. Never assume malicious when incompetence will do.
Yeah, the Peter principle.
Right, yeah, the Peter principle. And I think that this is a whopping example of that. They're so fucking stupid. They never even thought that, like, oh shit, fucking in vitro fertilization?
Yeah,
That's how Wendy had a baby.
Yeah.
Oh man, she's gonna be mad about this one.
It's because they're all brain dead fucking idiots.
Yeah, like it was literal incompetence. Like they did this with no understanding about what it actually meant.
Yeah. And I think this will be interesting because like when yuppies essentially can't get their in vitro, or when when the wealthy elite can no longer give lots of money to get frozen embryos shoved in their cooters, people they're going to be upset, and then capital is going to be involved. I say capital like, you know, it's the guy that owns the factory is going to pitch a bitch, but like, you know what I mean? The people with money, people with clout, people with fingers in industries, and people with the ear of special interest groups are going to have a hissy fit about this. And I hope this gets overturned because it's fucking stupid. It's just, I'm just continually disappointed over this whole abortion thing. And I've told you my conspiratorial end of it. I think that this is all about forcing poor people, particularly of certain demographics, to produce more children so that we have a steady supply of the right color labor.
Well, you think about like Japan right now, right?
Yeah. That's what they want. They want to avoid like a Japan situation, rapidly shifting demographics within a country, make them unstable. They want to force you to have more babies.
Well, it's about
and
maintaining production.
That way you're more broke and you're easier to keep in line. And then they can also use your seed to fuel their satanic mills. That's
Right.
my
and then
tinfoil.
they can use it against you
Yeah.
later when you become a threat of some kind, or
Yeah,
you just get uppity.
Yeah.
You say something on Twitter
And
that
then
they
they can
don't
do
like.
things like, won't somebody think of the children, so that they can do things like, you know, censor the internet and put everything in a death grip. you know?
Teach your kids stuff in public school that would make North Koreans blush.
Yeah. That's what it's about. That's what this game is. And it's also Jesus can come back.
Yeah.
It's some Seven Mountains shit where they all, which also you notice that one of the sponsors of that bill is related to the Seven Mountains. It's called like the Seven Mountains or whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, Lauren Bobart's one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, funny news about Lauren Bobart.
Is she dead yet?
No, but her son got charged with like making a sex tape or some shit.
She should get charged with a car battery to see if it'll jumpstart her fucking heart.
She's probably gonna lose re-election if it makes you feel any better. Like it doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it's like I said, that she's not actually the problem. There's billions of dumbass Republicans. I'm just sick of hearing about her.
You know what the problem with the funny Republicans is too?
That their horns don't stick out far enough for the photographs.
Well, it's the sort of it's the bumbling boobing of them, because I know I just said that they are strikingly incompetent, but you need to remember they're incompetent and malicious as well.
Yeah, they're both.
They are incredibly incompetent, and they hate you. They hate you for being working class. They hate you for having any sense of morality that isn't
what they told you.
And the thing is that this isn't just the Republicans, this is the fucking Democrats too. They fucking hate you for being working class.
They hate you for having demands about how you should be treated and what you're worth, and that you should have a minorly comfortable living and life.
They hate having to pretend to share your values.
They hate that you will ask them to do something for you so that they earn your vote, rather than voting for them because they are not the Republicans that they tell you are devils.
A lot of bile coming out this one.
Fuck
Didn't
them.
we
They're
say this was going to be a
awful.
good one though?
I mean, we're calling it like it is. I mean,
we
that's
pretty
all.
much ran through all like the major headlines that people would tell you you're supposed to care about, right? Like that's what the
circling back to Israel, the Aaron Bushnell, a man, a former airman.
He was. I think he wasn't he an airman at the time?
Well, he's passed on, sadly. In protest of the Palestinian genocide, self-emulated outside of the DC Israeli embassy. And it's always neat because they are painting this man as a deranged, crazy person and a radical, and this man was sick. And on one hand, there is the notion that anyone who would light themselves on fire as a form of protest must be pretty sick. It's an act of self-destruction, and it's a hell of a display, and it's very radical. It's only radical if you are comfortable with genocide.
Someone brought up
That's what it is.
That self-immolated in the 70s to protest. You notice
They were fighting against his religion. Yeah.
remember the people that would point to that and say that what an amazing, enlightened spiritual ideal that is, that someone would do that because they have such compassion for their fellow man, right? Those are the same people saying that this is the sign of the furthering mental health crisis in the world we live in.
Yeah.
It's because they don't believe in anything. It was fine when it was someone
In a foreign
protesting
country.
a war,
Yeah.
that they didn't agree with. But when it's somebody that looks like you, when it's somebody that maybe has a little more responsibility for it in some sort of sense, but when it's somebody that's your country, somebody that is just a person like you, someone who's even trying to get out of the military right now and just go into like doing some regular fucking job, right? When you see that, then the only conclusion you can come to is that that person must be deeply unwell, because I don't feel bad about this, and I don't think I should feel bad about this.
Well, I don't think that I should light myself on fire about it. I don't know if that's kind of the thing I would say, is that I don't know if this is going to get the response that he'd hoped for, but the man, it's the Foucault thing of trying to make people passive bodies. Is that the term?
Mm-hmm. Docile bodies.
Docile body. Yeah. You just want to make them crazy. You just want to say he's nuts, because then what he did doesn't compute. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a real frank discussion about the fact that this man was so absolutely disturbed by what he was a party to that he felt that this was a reasonable or necessary step, because that's a very uncomfortable conversation.
We've had increased fear mongering over anyone with radical or unorthodox beliefs in the last 20 years. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, sure.
And it's hard not to see this as part of that.
I think what it does come down to is that we really just don't like the status quo being protested in ways that we don't. We don't like the status quo protested in ways that are not accepted by the status quo. That's always
Shocking.
That's what,
Yeah,
look, when
shocking.
cities were burning during the summers of protests and stuff like that, and people were saying, "Oh, well, I get what they're saying, but I don't think they should be doing blank." Oh, this or saying this isn't a protest, this is a riot, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. You know, it's all this shit, and it's like I'm not saying that I agree with everything they did. But what it comes down to is the notion that there was a polite, safe way that they were allowed or that they were supposed to protest this. And what the thing is that those safe, accepted, easy, non-invasive means of protesting get ignored.
Yeah.
That's why they let you do them.
Howard Bloom in the Lucifer Principle, I think, said how wonderful the protest industry, as he called it, was, because it gave a way for the American populace beyond representative democracy to make their voices heard. I remember being very young when I read that originally and thinking like, that is a thing. I never thought about that. Not realizing that that is like the most brain dead take ever historically. Like, people didn't protest until Vietnam happened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a case of like pendulum swing. These protests like are people's opinions on protests overall. And that's the other thing too, is that in hindsight, these protests are almost always vindicated by history.
Somewhat, but in like, for instance, in the sense of like the most recent wave of them, that they're not, you can see how ultimately meaningless they were in the grand scheme of things.
Well, I mean, it's the Kurt Vonnegut thing about the Vietnam War too, where it's like we artists collectively focused our power on the Vietnam War, and we learned that this powerful weapon was about as strong as a cream pie dropped 5 feet from a ladder.
Right. Yeah. And and then think about it like this.
So that's
now
the
it's
Vietnam War
the
protests.
raging weaponized force of the angry populace of an urban area also ain't shit. It can level their own fucking city. That's what it can do.
Yeah.
It can get the jump out boys to start yanking people off the streets.
Well, because that's the
but
thing.
it can't change anything.
Well, I guess on the counterpoint, like labor movements are having a kickback, you know, stuff like that's going on. But that's the thing. You'll know when the capitalist class is, and the state by extension is really threatened, because they're going to just start, they're already kill people on the regular, but it'll get bloody. It will not be like January 6th.
Yeah, right. You want to get some news that's not like what they want you to read and be mad about?
Our approach with the news section is always to hit the sort of the biggest headlines and sort of give our 2 cents on them. And then we do the more fringe and lesser known and more fun based in dragon pilled sort of headlines. And speaking of dragons, UK's Dragonfire laser weapon downs its first drones.
What the fuck?
Hell yeah, the UK Death Ray. They've got something called Dragonfire, and it's it's a futuristic weapon that they said they're saying 5 years, but I'm kind of hoping that it gets a rush job. Not 100%, but I believe that this is for taking down drones, which I really do like this direction that future wars are going in. We're just gonna have like robots shooting other robots. And like we're just burning through money and resources. And maybe when people aren't dying, we might have this moment of like, this is so fucking expensive.
No. Because what they're gonna have is like, shit, we got too many people, but we got to use all the resources on the drone battles. Can we start making people into food or something?
Can we use the humans to power the robot somehow? And then it's gonna be like Matrix. Do we want to talk the Wendy's price surge thing, or
Wendy's? Wendy's nuts go in your mouth?
Oh, Wendy's nuts surge in price. I don't know what that means.
It's so stupid. It's just one of those things of like the internet finding out about something, getting mad about it, and then them saying, no, we're not going to do it. And then the internet being like, oh, look what we did. We did it, the internet.
We did it, guys. We saved the Wendy's. Then meanwhile, drone strikes, hospitals. Elon Musk sues OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman, claiming betrayal of its goal to benefit humanity. Elon Musk bankrolled OpenAI and is now saying that they're basically not following their founding agreement. On its face, like, yeah, that all makes sense. And the way it's being framed of like, oh, it's not, it's,
that is such a bullshit vague term though. Like, you're
maximizing profits, not making your code open to the public and stuff like that. Those are tangible things you can point to where it's like, no, the founding agreement said you were going to let everybody in on this and do that. It's like, that's fine. And you know what? If you gave them a whole bunch of money to do this and then they did not do what they said they were going to do, you've got a case. But the framing of it, the narrative of it is just hilarious. Elon Musk is definitely this, like, what was that thing about like his mommy wrote that tweet about how like my son is being treated so viciously by world governments and stuff like that. And all he's trying to do is save the world or make the world a better place and that sort of shit. So it's like Elon definitely sees himself as the hero. Maybe in his mind, it's also like he's on a noble crusade. They were supposed to help people, not you were supposed to destroy the dark side, not join it. Meanwhile, you are a comic book villain of a man and you have this veneer of you're supposed to be helping folks. And you're like, you don't, you suck.
See, here's the thing, right? A lot of people think Elon Musk is Iron Man. A lot of people think Elon Musk is Lex Luthor. Elon Musk is like Mr. fucking Magoo or something, though. Wait, was Mr. Magoo rich?
I don't know.
No, I need to come up. Who's someone who's got a bunch of money that is just like a complete idiot, though?
Richie Rich?
No, Richie Rich has got intelligence.
It doesn't, bro. It doesn't matter. You're making the point that Elon is just kind of is kind of a dummy, like not and you know not in like he's like he's drooling himself, he's an idiot, he doesn't know how to run a business. Like those might also be true, but it's just this. He's got these weird fucking notions that he's supposed to be saving people or that like he's making the world a better place and stuff like that with the the SpaceX program and everything else. If your goal was to make the world a better place, if the goal was to like, fund space travel and stuff like that, there's much better ways you could have gone about it. But what it is that you're trying to get rich while also helping people.
Well, no, he's already rich.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing. He wants to be
richer.
He wants to be a millionaire playboy is what he wants to be. He wants to have a bunch of money and then do ridiculous stuff. He really wants to be like that fucking cartoon character with the shit ton of money. Like he really does. That's his whole point. That's what he likes to do with his time. He had a indie pop singing girlfriend that gave him 2 children with names that read like fucking Linux files.
At the end of the day, he bankrolled them when they were starting, so I guess he's got a claim.
What's the lawsuit asking for? Money?
Yeah.
He's like, I want my money back?
Or do you want them to honor the agreements? And that, I haven't even seen anything.
I assume he would be like, he'd want them to just honor the agreements, but...
Oh, he wants an injunction to prevent anyone from benefiting from OpenAI's technology. Wait. Now no one's going to get it.
Yeah, okay. No, so what this is that he's like, this is too good.
He doesn't want it because they've partnered so heavily, they're so heavily entwined with Microsoft now.
Oh, got it.
So
okay.
Really, this is just
him hand slapping Microsoft because he's probably got the tech he needs out of them. Probably all of them fucking do. That's probably not the problem. It's probably just going to turn into the game of like, well, we can't work on this because legally we're not going to be able to benefit from it. We're not going to be able to make any money off of it, which is what it's all about anyway. So there we go. Right back to it. It's about money.
And let's face it, is anything meaningful going to come out of this?
No.
I saw a thing where through the use of AI, they found 18 promising materials to produce new batteries. Basically, they described it as research that should have taken 2 years, took a couple weeks.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like that's definitely a great use for this stuff. Maybe it can help us with our whole energy crisis thing. You got any more goofy headlines?
Did you hear about the hybrid beef rice?
No, that sounds delicious, honestly.
That was my thought too. It turns out it's actually about like the interesting hybridization of plant and meat. I was just like, that sounds tasty. Where can I buy it?
But it's not ready yet, is it?
No. They created it. It's a type of fusion food made of essentially like steamed rice and beef. It's like how you make, how you like grow meat in a lab?
Yeah.
They do that, but with like a ricey addition of some kind. And it's got like protein and it's good for you and it's cheap to make. So this will hopefully be something good for hunger.
So I don't have to eat the bug?
Yeah, no. Congratulations, everyone. We're not going to have to eat bugs. We can just eat your beef rice. Eat your Ben's ready beef rice.
Eat your lab grown
rice.
Live
in the pod.
Live it. You're still living in the pod now. You're going to live in this pod with us.
Take your shoes off at the door.
Oh man. You got any other ones?
We need something funny because we started really heavy. We got real sad. And I think we just need somebody doing something ridiculous. Do you want caught at the border with a python in his pants? Or do you want Charlotte the Stingray is pregnant and has no father?
I do the python.
Okay. The other one I assume is that's happened like 5 times now. Like now we have tons of like animals just giving birth without a man things. Like that happens like a lot comparatively. I'm just saying, call me when it's like a male and then he has a son.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Say that again. Back the fuck. What?
Nope. We're going on to the next headline. Caught at border with python in his pants, New York City man fined and sentenced to probation. A New York City man who admitted he was smuggling 3 Burmese pythons in his pants through a U.S.-Canadian border crossing was sentenced Wednesday to a year of probation and a fine of $5,000.
How did he think that was gonna go? You just put 3 snakes, 3 trouser snakes down by your trouser snake.
Hey-o.
You
Wow,
really-
that is all there is to this headline, too.
Oh.
It says that, and then it says, crossed to northern New York with hidden snakes on a bus from Montreal. The young adult snakes were hidden in the inner thigh of his pants in snake bags tied to the pants drawstring. Is snake smuggling like a big thing? How much money can you get for a Burmese python?
Smuggling, no less. So it's like, are they hard to get in? Do you gotta? Hold on, let's look.
You can get a hatchling for like under $400.
Wait.
That doesn't seem like it'd
Aren't
be.
Burmese pythons the one that are infesting Florida? You
Are
could
they?
just go to Florida and get one. Just go down there. Don't they pay? I think they pay you to kill them down there. You could at least take one.
Son of a bitch, they are.
You could at least take a couple away. Man, you're trying
Wait
to
a minute.
sneak them around.
He's gonna go do it to Canada. Like if they.
We've got to deal with it. You've got to deal with it. What a dingus. I'm gonna find a good one, by God. Oh man, that never fails. No twerking, no drinking, no smoking, but plenty of room for Jesus at this Christian nightclub, Nashville, Tennessee. The young crowd at the Nashville nightclub is ready to dance under the strobe lights to a throbbing mix of hip hop, rap, and Latin beats. But first, they gathered to pray and praise God.
Oh no.
No twerking was literally the first rule. Oh, and then no secular music is all. The whole playlist is Christian. This is, I don't know. I guess you
That
don't.
sounds like hell. That sounds like literal hell. Like I was thinking like a nightclub with a Christian emphasis. Like you know that everyone going there is a Christian, so you're not going to be like doing hookup culture and stuff.
To this
but like one
day-
where you all pray when you all get there. That's so fun.
I to this day I don't understand what is up with the strong temperance movement associated with Christianity when your guy was literally a wine dude.
grape juice, grape juice, grape juice.
You're an idiot.
Cope harder, Christians.
Cope.
Cope harder, Protestants.
I like no drinking, no smoking, no twerking, which is like whatever, I guess. But so it's like there's nothing wrong with being straight edge, but I just don't get why is that so prevalent. America's, for example, is still broadly Christian, and I think most Christians I know drink like motherfuckers. Islam outright bans alcohol. You're not supposed to drink it. And then the national drink of Saudi Arabia is Johnny Walker Black. Alcohol has been, there's always the theories that the thing that created agricultural society is because it required so many people and certain resources to have a steady supply of hooch. The human, alcohol is ingrained in human culture. We were figuring out stills before we had written language.
I don't know. It blows my mind that there's enough people to support that. Honestly, I mean, especially like, because if you're not drinking, like, what are they got to be getting some sort of like tax credit or some write-off or something for doing that shit. 'Cause there's
Maybe it's like, yeah,
they're not making money off of people being at this club, even off of like cover charges and selling them fucking waters for $10.
yeah. Well,
like,
I don't
you're-
know. You could probably make so much.
Nashville, I don't think you're making the rent.
What would be the first 3 rules for like a chaos magic nightclub?
Not in the hair, gotta wear shoes, and no
Yeah, you
eye
don't wanna
contact.
No eye contact.
No eye contact. That's what I think. What do you got?
1, nothing is true. 2, everything is permitted. 3, have a nice day. I don't know. I don't know what the third. Or you know what? Maybe the shoes thing would be everything is permitted, except not wearing your shoes, because a chaos magic nightclub probably has the nastiest fucking floors on the planet. Well, on that note, I think we've probably had enough stupid news.
This week we're doing something kind of interesting. We promised you a story a little while back about a certain occult group falling to pieces. No, not that one. Not that one. We mentioned briefly that there was reports of the Order of 9 Angles disbanding, as it were, quote unquote. Maybe.
Maybe.
after a while, we've put some thought into it, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit today about what the Order of Nine Angles is. Its history, their ideas, what kind of crazy fucking shit people have done. Then after that, later over on the Patreon, we're going to talk about all the current things that are going on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what the Order of Nine Angles is / was, the history, the most influential guy who, spoiler alert, it's we're pretty sure we know who it is, and just what their general beliefs are and what kind of stupid things people have done in the name of them. Sound good with you?
Oh yeah, I'm on pins and needles.
So what do you know about the Order of Nine Angles?
I think the term that was used to describe them to me was anti-cosmic Luciferianism.
Really?
Yeah, and that was probably, that's a term that doesn't really mean a whole lot, I suppose. I think they were attempting to describe like sort of an anti-life approach to the universe, an antagonistic, adversarial, at odds with the universe sort of mentality, which I'm not sure how exceptionally accurate that was. But also I know that they are tied up with notions of white supremacy and kind of fashy ideas, but I don't know a whole lot about them overall.
Let me give you a little bit of background then. The Order of Nine Angles is a collective. They're not even a singular organization. Maybe at one time they were, but as at their most influential, I think they're a loose-knit group of people, a handful of them, that wrote some very provocative things that have been the nexus that connects many disparate cells and individuals who have done some rather atrocious things and written some very wild fucking magical works. They claim they were started in the 60s. The Order of Nine Angles as we know it today really starts in the mid 70s when a man named Anton Long supposedly joined a group of Welsh English occultists that were witchy Satanist types, and he began to build out from there a rather interesting system with very complicated and strange beliefs. Anton Long is the central figure of the Order of Nine Angles. The things that he wrote are, in their words, the most important text, and they're not what you think they would be. What's interesting about the primary text of the Order of Nine Angles, a lot of it doesn't present with the immediacy of like full-blown Nazism.
The milk before the meat type thing. You're not going to get people on the hook by just starting with, hey, let's be some weird neo-Nazis.
Right. And of course, that's not to say there aren't 09A documents that are like overtly like, oh yeah, we love Mr. H. We love the mustache guy. How about we talk about this Anton Long person for a minute?
I'm assuming that is not his real name.
Yeah.
What are the chances that a guy named Anton,
two guys named Anton with a last name starting with L, starting a Satanist thing? I will put my cards on the table here. I'm confident beyond at least like 80% that Anton Long is a man named David Myatt.
Okay.
Who himself is already an incredibly controversial figure, even if we move away from the fact that he is also the 09A guy.
Okay, so this is a guy that already has a rep of being like, oh man, that dude. So like then you add the 09A and it's like, oh my God.
David Myatt is talking about his life is a great example of showing you, regardless of any sort of real intentions, you see an aesthetic in the 09A and David Myatt. So David Myatt was an English citizen whose parents worked in Tanzania. What is Tanzania now? At the time was Tanganyika.
Sure.
Tanganyika.
Sure.
Oh
That's
yeah, whatever. It's now part of Tanzania. When he was like 15 or 16, he started studying martial arts in Singapore, and also where he made a point of telling us that he got initiated into erotic pleasure in a Singapore brothel.
That's a hell of a way to say I was introduced to.
he comes back to England for schooling and he starts kind of looking around for occult groups. He finds what you would expect to find in 1960s occultism in England, right?
So like lodge magic.
Yeah. Crowleyans, Golden Dawn, kind of hates it. Can't blame him.
Why wouldn't you? He was like, nah, man, I was over in Singapore and I learned how to throw a karate chop. And then I also learned how to get into a brothel. And those were the only two things I learned. But let me tell you, that's some real magic.
So in 71, he finally meets what they would describe as a traditional sinister group. Sinister is a word. Yeah. So traditional sinister group. He gets initiated and kind of grows into one of the main figures in this. When the mistress who ran the order and her daughter leave to Australia, he gets left in charge of a group of about 13 people or so. He renames it the Order of Nine Angles.
What was it beforehand?
Doesn't really say.
The Order of 8 Angles. And he was like, nah, we can do better.
From there, he starts to deal with neo-Nazis and petty crime, just stealing shit.
After worming his way up in a magic order and getting to take over, he changes the name. Everybody's still cool with that. And he starts...
I don't know about the whole of them, but he personally gets involved with neo-Nazis from here.
But at the point, he starts seeking out fringe extremist political ideologies and people that are involved with them.
Yes.
So do you think the goal as far as a sinister order, it was the idea of like, left-hand path or like going further than that, like being shits for the sake of being shits?
Tell you what, I will talk about that when we get into their ideas a little bit later, but I think that's a good thing to look at there.
Okay.
Let's see. Small criminal gang to redistribute some of the wealth stolen by big capitalist firms, believing them to be victimless crimes. He gets arrested a bunch. He is charged with several crimes, held on remand in prison, and subsequently found guilty and held a suspended prison sentence.
So he was like stealing shit out of like the Tesco or
taking shit.
Well, it said like redistributing wealth.
I think he's implying that people who have stuff are capitalists,
Oh, capitalist
like
means when you have lots of money.
He got invited to join Column 88, which was part of Gladio, if you know what that is. If you guys don't know what Gladio is, go look it up. Have a fun time. We'll be here when you come back. It's a clandestine network of intelligence agencies, and they had connections to all sorts of other random things like Masonic orders.
So was he like an asset, you think?
I think he was definitely. I think people like this are always connected to the system somehow. In 74, he gave his first interview actually talking about ideas and stuff.
Like ideas and stuff, man. Like thoughts.
Well, basically, someone didn't let him see the article before they shared it, and then he talks about like Myatt being a Satanist and a Nazi, and he got really fucking mad.
I didn't know they were going to say all that.
Animal sacrifice, all that sort of things. And Myatt gets interviewed by the RSPCA and the police about, the animal sacrifice. That reporter apparently died.
Oh.
After a lingering illness.
Oh. What?
Anton Long would claim later that he never sacrificed animals because there are plenty of people to kill. Which is, Horrifying, yeah.
No. Let's circle back to they died after an illness.
I think this is trying to imply that it might be some like nudge, nudge, wink, wink stuff, but I don't know.
Did they give him magic? Like they send a curse on him? Say, we're going to show you. Sometimes groups will be really, really quick to claim that sort of thing. Like, yeah, I used black magic to make them liver grown.
Let's see, he gets into a big fucking brawl way later in that year, and a bunch of rallies getting smashed up, lots of people being angry, and finally he goes to prison for inciting and leading the fighting. When he gets out of prison in 75, he grows a beard and becomes, for several months, it says, a gentleman of the road, a drifter, or a vagabond. then went to go live alone in a caravan in a field so he could codify and develop the O9A teachings. He began to undertake physical tasks described in the oral traditions he had inherited and the grade ritual of internal adept, which that's one of like the main books. It's the Diary of an Internal Adept, just so you guys are aware of what that's about. Continue through that sort of nonsense. But this gets into the key development in the O9A, I don't know what you'd call it, curriculum practice, the idea of insight roles.
Insight roles.
Yeah. This is actually
with
the first thing.
D20.
Oh, Jesus.
Right?
Just to go off about insight roles for a little bit. That was actually the first thing I'd ever heard about the O9A, is that this supposed idea that they would actively go and take on roles in like extreme groups or in radical ideologies and like live that life as a practice, as both a magical practice and like a psyop espionage kind of practice.
Oh, okay. So this is their dodge, isn't it? We're not neo-Nazis. We just play one on TV. No, I'm doing it to further my path of enlightenment. That's why I joined these fucking skinheads.
Well, I also do think there's a level of it that they want to destabilize the world that they're actively open about. But, you know, then again, the DKMU has assault on reality. So I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and you'll see more of that as we go on.
Well, because he was already dealing with these people before, and then it's like he goes to prison, comes out, he's homeless, and he had all that time in the pen and then on the road to think about like, how am I gonna really lay out this new order? Yep. And then what's he do? He goes back. He's like, all right, yeah, I'm just gonna get everybody to do it. It's like, how can I convince people to join these extremist groups when they don't agree with them? It's like, oh, you need it for like your own insight. You need to develop yourself. So you need to get into the headspace of people who are absolutely bonkers. Remember, the programming only goes one way, right? There's no chance that by surrounding yourself with people of a very intense ideology that you will find yourself influenced and becoming more like them. Nah. You'd never get Dances with Wolves, man. Dances with Wolfenstein.
I'd never get Dancing Wolves. Oh god. So in the 80s, this is really where all the important stuff happens, at least as far as I can say.
That's what my history book said in school.
David Myatt, the man, writes a bunch of shit about Western civilization and National Socialism. He wrote this one particular thing that just has like the most edgelord fucking Nazi name for something I've ever heard. It's called Vindex, the Destiny of the West. Doesn't that just sound like fucking...
No, that sounds like an American translation of an anime. Wait, you said Vindex?
Yeah.
No, that's just what Germans use to clean their windows. Where's the Vindex?
He also publishes translations of Greek poetry, like Sappho and Sophocles.
Are they good? Like, are they accurate translations? Or
I admittedly have never read any of his translations.
The R's are backwards.
But again, this is telling towards another shift that he'll go on later in his life. And at the same time, Anton Long
just publishing these translations that are just fucking wrong.
That's very good, David, but I don't think that Sappho knew what a bussy was.
And then Odysseus shot the arrow and it killed 15 assheads.
Oh my god. Okay. So Anton Long at this time,
who is definitely not Myatt or Myatt.
Is it Myatt? How would you know? You don't know any of this shit. Why am I questioning myself? This is the point where I realize I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Anyway, so Anton Long at this time writes the Diophel Quartet, which is like 4 fictionalized books that are about the satanic order, sinister tradition thing that was going on of the O9A and various people.
Now we're getting the Happy Science like novel of it, right? It's like, we're gonna make a book series. Satanist equivalent of the Left Behind novels, or
let's see, he might have murdered a woman, might have been working for MI15. Those sorts of things happen. He does get questioned by the police about the murder of a local woman that people claim he might have sacrificed. it does note here that apparently decades later, the real murderer was found. So
Who was it?
that's- It doesn't say. Oh, it does give the name of the woman, Hilda Murrell. So you can look up who Hilda Murrell was murdered by.
Sidebar: there seems to be a very long tradition of people claiming that the Order of Nine Angles murdered someone when they didn't. Sometimes the person isn't even dead.
Oh,
Kennedy knows what I'm talking about there.
I'm not putting that in.
So far, we've gone to Singapore. We've learned to do some karate kicks. We've gone to England. We've learned some magic. Hated it. We went to jail. Found some good magic that we did like.
We met some real interesting
Met some
characters.
really interesting people. Went back to prison.
Went back to prison. And then when we get out of prison, we
We're
divorce
homeless.
our wife.
Divorce our wife.
And now we disband all the
Live
little
in a
ceremony. we disband all the ceremonial magic group things that we have left, which were only like a couple anyway. Because the whole point of what we've come to the conclusion here now is that getting people to like into groups to do magic together is stupid. And what you need to do is write books and give them to individual people so they can go do unhinged shit.
Like,
Oh, well, we're not there yet. We're still getting to the end of David's life. One of the Nazi groups he was in disbanded after people figured out it was a thing, which happens quite a bit with Nazi groups.
they were like, oh, fuck, they found us.
Yeah.
Don't let them see us. Don't let them know what we're doing.
He gets involved in some more interesting things, like he starts reading a whole lot of Islam. He apparently studied a lot of religions over these times and stuff, but he gets real into Islam and more Greek translations and
Okay, going back to what I said about sort of seeking out fringe ideologies, not that Islam itself is like fringe extremism, but I wonder if the extremist end of Islam was a motivating factor for him to look into it.
he goes back to corralling around for the Nazis.
I thought you were about to say he goes back to jail.
Oh God, no, I wish. He created the Aryan resistance movement. Supposedly someone
Bro,
who
somebody-
survived from Waffen SS was funding it. I'm gonna have to bleep that for YouTube.
Somebody misheard that, thought it was air. The air resistance force, and like, hell yeah. I'm gonna bring my little remote control plane. It's gonna be fun. They're gonna help me. We're gonna sand down these edges. It's gonna be great. And then he gets there, it's like, oh man. Now they want to strap a bomb to it, have me fly it into a Tesco.
Just because there's too many names in this, I'll just kind of cut this down. He joined a group called Combat 18 that was full of Nazis. One of them goes on trial for killing somebody, and he shows up at their trial publicly for support.
So any claim that this isn't built on a bedrock of neo-Nazi white supremacy is just totally wrong. Like, this
Well-
guy just pals around with these people.
Well, here's
constantly.
the thing. Myatt has claimed multiple times that he is not Anton Long. He denies it up and down still, even though it has been like completely confirmed by a lot of people. And then there's still a handful of people that think that Anton Long is a collection of different people, and Myatt might have been one of them.
The only person that's denying that Anton Long is involved with Myatt at all is Myatt himself.
Right? Yeah.
So even if Anton Long is a collective pseudonym and an umbrella term for a couple different people, there's still people that associate with Myatt.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Tar you with the same brush.
Yeah. So in 1998, he converts to Islam.
In 98?
Yeah, in 98, he converts to Islam. Oh,
Mhm.
wait, hang on. Sorry. Before that, he
Goes
ends
back
up
to jail.
getting, a whole lot of press about being a big old fucking Nazi. Why not? The man who created Combat 18 that he was a part of does go to jail for murder. Myatt resigns from his leadership of one of those other groups to go do his own thing full time. And then, without telling anyone, then he converts to Islam.
Just real hush hush about it. And
Yeah.
just, I'm Muslim now.
Yep. David Copeland in 1999, who was a member of Myatt's group, begins a campaign to start a racial war of exploding 3 nail bombs in various areas in London. This is a big thing in London. People know all about this. He gets arrested, and 3 people are killed. Many are injured. It's fucked.
Does Myatt suffer any consequences for this, or just
Prior to his trial, Myatt is questioned but denies any connection. And Copeland's trial and conviction a year later, with Myatt accused of being his mentor, and he's not happy about it. I personally regret nothing. There is nothing to apologize for, nothing to plead or feel guilty about. Every 6 months or so from there, he keeps getting questioned, and they're basically just trying to get him to crack. And he continues until the end of 2000 to keep putting out National Socialist newsletters and all that sort of stuff. And in 2001, the police formally acknowledged that they're dropping the charges on him.
all right? So he has been operating under a level of plausible deniability, while on one hand, actively consorting with neo-Nazi white supremacist people, publishing stuff in support of them, doing all kinds of weird shit, talking about sacrificing animals and then saying, oh no, there's more people to kill than that, blah, blah, all kinds of shit. And then when people associated with him do anything fucked up, he tries to back out of it. It's like, oh, I've got nothing to do. No, I didn't tell him to do that. You created and radicalized these people, or you helped at the very least. And then you're like, well, no, it's not my fault they did that.
Here's the
would
thing,
never.
right? Because this isn't even the 09A stuff. This is all just like David Myatt's Nazi stuff. They're like, we get to see the process and the sort of weird underpinnings of what the 09A people would be doing here. But this is still just shit that Myatt's connected to. Once you've been cleared of a crime, involving a Nazi trying to start a race war, what do you start doing?
You convert to Islam to try to say that you're not a Nazi?
Close. You convert to Islam and are still a Nazi, basically.
How?
Because many members of Islam hate Jews.
Oh.
He goes online and defends the 9/11 attacks and the 7/7 bombings. He does the exact thing that you would expect him to do at this point.
And so far we're establishing that this man like almost seems intentionally provocateur. Like he says really out of pocket shit constantly, and that seems is that almost the point? Is that the goal? So how old is he by this point?
David Myatt now is 73, 74. Somewhere in there.
So even at this time, he's in his 50s.
Yes, yeah. This is and here's the thing, right? So he continues on. He writes for Radical Islam. He's very anti-Semitic still. And in 2010, he just gives it all up.
So he's just like, nah, it's cool. I'm gonna stop doing the Muslim thing.
Yeah, I'm going to stop doing the Muslim thing. I'm going to stop doing the Nazi thing. I'm going to stop I reject radicalism in all its forms.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm a good guy now.
I'm a good guy now.
I know I was bad, but now I'm nice.
And he's developed
also,
a new
I would
philosophy.
like to sell you this bridge.
He's developed a new philosophy called the Numinous Way. It's got a fancy Greek name too. It's
Now, that is odd thinking that the 09A also refers to the numinous path, right?
Yeah, the numinous aspects as opposed to the sinister aspect. So it's like, come the fuck on, dude. Really?
Now, maybe that's not like a perfect, because numinous is used, but it given the proximity, and you're also, still to this day, he's trying to say, nah, this wasn't me. That is a bit of a flag, isn't it?
Yeah. Here's the thing, too. It's the Numinous Way of Pathemathos. And it's based in like analysis of Greek tragedy and philosophy and stuff and yada yada yada. It's the sort of thing you'd expect.
Shit. Yeah, it's the type of thing that somebody tries when a 2-nickel rubbing Yahoo thinks that he can come up with some kind of new religion or philosophical path.
Yeah, and you can see the rumblings of it through it, just sort of in the same way he starts getting into Islam more, and then he becomes a Muslim, and then he finally he started doing the numinous path thing, I think, before he was not a Muslim anymore, but then he rejects it and extremism and stuff.
That does confirm that it's like he rejects Islam because he rejects extremism. That means to him the appeal of Islam was from the radical sects.
Here's the thing. Allegedly, Myatt's no longer actually involved with the 09A. There's nothing supporting that other than someone claiming that Myatt's done with us now.
He's also, he would be 60 something. He would be late 60s. He would be retirement age, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And as the Order of Nine Angles establishes this sort of idea of almost infiltrating and taking on beliefs that you don't necessarily subscribe to and stuff like that, you can't believe Myatt when he starts touting out this new nice guy religion.
At this point, it almost feels like a joke to say that like Myatt was doing all of this because he's like actually a secret Satanist type, and these were all insight roles where he's doing this to destabilize the world, right? Like what it reads like is that he had some really creepy kind of fucking like Satanism ideas and some more basic Nazi ideas, and he couldn't get them to quite mesh in the same way.
Yeah, or at the very least, to get more people to go to the stupid Nazi thing, he had to use the Satanism as a pipeline and find convincing blinds to get people to do that. And then that just makes you wonder if the whole numinous whatever is another blind of like, what if I can get people to come to me for this, and then I can get them on the path of what I want them to be doing, which is creepy Nazi stuff.
We've talked a whole lot about Myatt and what they were doing, and about the order developing mostly from writings that kind of bring others together or allow people to create smaller cells. And that's pretty much how the O9A operates. They have a term for this. They call them Nexions.
That's a game station.
A quote from the O9A in 2010, apparently.
It's like the stadium, and then you have the Nexion.
The O9A is a diverse and worldwide collective of diverse groups, tribes, and individuals who share and who pursue similar sinister, subversive interests, aims, and lifestyles, and who cooperate when necessary for their mutual benefit in the pursuit of their shared aims and objectives. The criteria for belonging to the O9A is the pursuit of the similar sinister, subversive interest, aims, and lifestyle, together with the desire to cooperate when it is beneficial to lead them to the pursuit of our shared aims. Thus, there is no formal ONA membership and no old Aeon mundane hierarchy or even any rules.
Okay, well, first off, rule 1, shoes on. Rule 2, all that stuff. Rule 3, there are no other rules. There you go. I just fixed that for you. So what it's saying is that there are a lot of people that prescribe to the certain notions and ideas that are laid out probably in the sort of foundational literature of the O9A, but they are a heavily decentralized network of loosely affiliated cells, and that the individual cells work together out of a common interest, where it's like, when it is beneficial for us to work together, we will work together. There's nothing keeping anybody from working or not working with anybody else. And there aren't necessarily any rules or general guidelines for whether or not you are an officially sanctioned pocket of the Order of Nine Angles. And that makes them a hell of a group to try to stamp out if you were so inclined.
Yeah,
and when they say
that would be the problem, wouldn't it?
So when they say that Myatt's not affiliated with them anymore, it's almost like, which ones? And does it even matter?
Well, we're talking about like who these people are. Do you want to hear some of the exploits of people influenced by the O9A?
All right. Now that we're off Myatt, we're gonna go into like what do people who read the books that he wrote, what do they have to say about it?
So aside from, again, all the Nazi connections that are pretty fucking easy to spot, there's also the eco-terrorist individuals tending to the wild group in Mexico. They happen to somehow be connected with them. The misanthropic Luciferian order, also known as the Temple of Black Light, was connected with a murder. When I'm letting you, this sounds very fancy and interesting. It had 3 members originally.
The misanthropic Luciferian order sounds like a joke name. The Temple of the Black Light sounds a little bit. Actually, no. Now that I say it, because now I'm just thinking like black lights. So there's cum everywhere. God, keep your shoes on.
In 2019, you might remember this. There was Jarrett William Smith in Kansas distributing information related to explosive and weapons of mass destruction. Was apparently an O9A guy.
Weapons of mass destruction? Like what? Was
I think like a dirty bomb, I guess. Stuff like that.
Oh, Jesus. Now that is some real destabilizing. Oof.
A paratrooper named Ethan Melzer plotting to ambush his unit.
What? Okay.
You don't remember this? This was only a couple years ago. He got caught. He was planning on murdering everyone. And
Was he over in the sandbox or what?
oh no, he was actually in fucking Italy apparently.
Oh man.
He was gonna. It was plotted an ambush on his unit to result in the deaths of as many of his fellow service members as possible.
And he got caught before he did anything.
oh
right?
yeah. He was charged with leaking classified information to his co-conspirators in the Waffen Nexion of the 09A.
Oh,
Such a classy name. I wonder what it's about.
gross.
After he was exposed, that's when several other military members were exposed as being connected in various ways.
Well, and I guess that also goes to the Order of Nine Angles MO, where it seems to be like infiltrate large groups. Now, here's the problem: is like ultimately like that petty, pitiful act of violence. Like if it had gone successfully, what would it have done? It would have just probably it would have been a tragedy. But I don't think like if destabilization is the goal, you have to think a lot bigger, don't you?
I don't know. I think the idea of just like instigating violence is probably something these people want. You know, it's David Myatt's not out there blowing himself up.
That's true. It's almost like this game of like, well, here's the suckers.
To be completely honest, yeah, kind of convincing yourself that, you know, you can go murder somebody and for your magic powers to get stuff. You know, here's the thing. I'm not even going to lie to you. You could probably do some crazy magic by murdering somebody. Don't murder people. What the fuck is wrong with you?
There's easier ways.
Yeah, and from there, it just lots and lots of those, just lots of attempts at terrorist attacks that did not work out, and then they got caught with anti-Semitic and Order of Nine Angles materials.
So what we're hearing is that they're bad at this.
They're the most prolific.
Yeah, but they're the most prolific failures.
There's also claims that they've been promoting sexual abuse of various people, which is just what you expect from these people at this point, right? You know?
Oh yeah, just tack that on. They're also like Nazi shitheads and murderers, so it's like, yeah, add that on as well.
There is a called the Astral Bone Gnawers Lodge, very prominent one. They have a musical project called the Dark Imperium, and they also publish, you know, big, nice, edgy essays and stuff. It's kind of structured like just a regular secret society, so I guess that's cool. No, not really. And then, of course, there's the Temple of Blood, which was one that was being funded by, you know, the federales.
Oh, of course. So the feds were.
I think
Temple
they were,
of Blood, you said?
Yeah. The leader and founder of it was being paid as an informant. So make of that what you will.
On like other groups or like,
well, to the FBI. I guess that's all you need to know. They also had a Juche group, which is the ideology of North Korea. So this guy might just be a Fed.
God, okay, and that's the other problem is that when you're so loosely connected, I guess like any of these groups will probably pop up and be like, oh yeah, we could easily get taken over by the federales. Because like, you know, right now there's like 6 of us over here. One guy wanders in and he seems to know some stuff. And
well, we've talked at length about what horrible things they've done.
What is it? And this is all in the name of, like, what are the high beliefs of these groups?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Rule 1, keep your shoes.
So here's the thing. Finding out what the O9A believes is a little harder than you would imagine, because so much of it is in that area of like plausible deniability. They use words in specific ways to make sure that you can't say that this is 100% for fact some Nazi shit. But that being said, there's a couple things that we can ascertain from them. That they are definitely a theistic Satanist group. They call themselves traditional Satanism as opposed to like the contemporary Anton LaVey Satanism, which they think is like appealing to like rationalism and hedonism and all that kind of shit.
They're theistic Satanists, as in they believe in an entity that fits the bill of like Satan, the adversary, like the dark Lord.
Right. This is from Nicholas Goodrick. It was a good quote, so I'm stealing it. The writings of Anton Long rejects the quasi-religious organizations and ceremonial antics of the Church of Satan, the Temple of Set, and other satanic groups. He believes that traditional Satanism goes far beyond the gratification of pleasure principle and involves the arduous achievement of self-mastery, self-overcoming in a Nietzschean sense, and ultimately cosmic wisdom. His conception of Satanism is practical with an emphasis on the individual growth into realms of darkness and danger through practical acts of prowess, endurance, and the risk of life.
Okay. All right. So on paper, that still doesn't sound great. The
Well,
idea of putting your life in mortal danger.
But still, it just sounds like edgy magic stuff. Like nothing in that screams at you. By the way, we want to create a cosmic imperium to colonize the Milky Way with the spirit of.
Oh, is that where this goes?
Yes, that is where this goes.
Well, okay. How do we get there? Is there another book?
They have an aeonics idea, right?
Right.
But essentially, human history is divided into aeons, like Crowley said, and it was dominated by human civilization that emerged, evolved, and died. And that's Spangler too. That's literally
Right.
decline of Western civilization shit.
Yeah.
Their whole idea is that we are in a very turbulent time of troubles, and what we need to do is create a sort of fascist imperium so that we can create order and expand into the stars.
So basically, you need to create like the most brutal conditions for humanity to make like the strongest of the strong. And then that way you can have people that are ready to survive out in the abyss and colonize the Milky Way.
Yeah, because the Magian influence, the Nazarene influence, the Christian influence of the world has created a neurotic, modernistic hellscape, right?
Everything bad.
Yeah,
Jesus' fault.
The West is fallen.
Yeah, West fallen.
I mean, do you know what Magian means? I gave you a hint. It's a code word.
Oh, got it.
In the plausible deniability sort of way, they're going to say that this is not about a genetic thing or a group of people. It's like an ideological sort of, and they'll say it's like, the Christian slave morality that has taken over the world. Those sorts of things. But what they really mean is they mean the Jews.
Yeah,
That's what they mean. That's what these people always mean by the end of this. It's just like goddamn Alexander Dugin. Dugin will give you the fourth political theory. He will explain to you the differences between fascism and communism and liberalism, and he can explain lots of problems of liberalism, and he'll show you the fourth political theory, but it's just fascism.
Yeah.
And it's just because he's Russian and he's creating a ideological rationale for a new Russian empire. And that's what this is. This is giving you an esoteric and spiritual metaphysical setup
So that you can radicalize an individual to getting to that point.
They have a lot of ideas of the sevenfold or the septenary that, is the planets, and they have various aspects. And it's hard for me to want to dig into the more spooky beliefs here because, again, apart from the idea of insight rolls, which I thought was a fascinating idea, it's just very, it's like it's repurposed Hermeticism and various other things,
Well,
and
and you
even
said
a
that
good
they-
bit of Crowley, considering Anton Long's supposed dismissal of it.
Yeah, you said you stripped out all of the ceremonial aspects. So, like, what is magic to them? And not
Well-
that ceremonial magic is the end all be all, but like when you start stripping out that sort of thing, it's like, well, like, what are you doing? I want to know.
What they're trying to do is they have an idea that we live as humans in the causal realm, they call it, and that there's an acausal realm where physics do not apply and energies can be taken from there and brought into our world to perform magic.
Okay, how do you get there?
The same way as you do all the other things: ceremonial magic, sex magic, internal magic, sigil magic, all those sorts of things.
So it's like etherics. Do they have any unique ways of going about it, or
No,
okay?
they have some.
But ceremonial magic is bad.
I think it has its places. I think they just don't want you to be like a Golden Dawn, Rosy Cross type.
Okay.
It's got to be Satan and Baphomet. By the way, they have a masculine and a feminine principle, because it's Lucifer and Baphomet's a girl apparently.
Okay, why not? I mean, Baphomet is supposed to be the resolution of opposites, so it's both and everything. But that's fine.
There's also human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is something they're very big on.
Well, they might be very big on it, but they're very bad at it because they can't seem to fucking kill anybody. They got But their track record sucks comparatively, which is great. I'm glad they suck.
There's one more thing that we could point out that's interesting for them. They have the concept of aeonic magics, right?
Sure.
And aeonic magic is meant to influence a large number of people over a long period of time, thus affecting the development of future aeons.
Well, that's not that crazy. I guess that can kind of go almost with the Kenneth Grant notions of living in the Aeon of Horus, but trying to leap out into the future of the Aeon of Mott so that one can bring the Aeon of Mott into the present. But how do they do it? Is it with memes?
There are two ways of going about it. The first is basically opening a gateway to the realm, which is all the stuff we're doing. It's the same fucking thing. It's Kia reaching out into chaos, yada, yada. It's getting to a gnosis state. It's that sort of stuff. The second method involves playing an advanced form of a board game known as the Star Game, which is a 3-dimensional board game that Myatt made.
Okay. We'll save that part for the Patreon where we will discuss the rules and maybe run through a little bit of Star Game. So finally, maybe touch on this a little bit before we wrap up. Now, when you talk about that, like the sinister lineage or whatever, did it really just mean being an asshole or just be a prick, man?
They have this idea of a pre-Christian dark tradition. It's not quite pagan. It's not quite really Christian. It's just a fascinating thing to see such interesting thought tried to put into something that is so blatantly stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it must be what it's like to not be very intelligent. I'm not saying David Myatt isn't smart. David Myatt's probably smarter than I am. He convinced a bunch of Nazis to do stuff. I've never convinced anybody to do anything.
If it makes you feel any better, I mean, he's now like 70-year-old dribbling tapioca pudding down his chest and saying, I used to be in the prison.
But you see the dark aesthetic and this kind of like edgy fucking sense of like, you see all that, right? And you don't feel like you're being put on. You know what I mean?
Like, how do the gongs not go off in your head when you see stuff like this?
You see stuff that's so like, it's so edgy and try hard. And then I guess that must be what it is. It's like, if you're dumb enough to be taken in by the edgy try hardness of the 09A, then you'll see the writings of like the David Myatt, Anton Long people, and you start going, oh, wow, this is actually really smart. And it's like, no, it's not very smart.
So deep and interesting, man. My eyes are open. And meanwhile, they're also like telling you like why an ethno state is the preferable.
This is stuff that they got from smarter people and then just made Nazier.
Made it worse.
You're not making occultism better. You're making Spangler worse.
And that will probably to this day be the enduring legacy of the Order of Nine Angles, of taking other people's ideas and making them kind of lousier.
And then convincing someone to go shoot somebody over it.
I still think that this sort of exists as just a cover for, if not, for most cases, white supremacy and neo-Nazi shit, but even the cases when it's not explicitly like white supremacist groups, like dangerous idiot extremists that by their own admission, their goal seems to just be to hurt people and cause chaos. And
they actively hate Western society and what it's led to, and
seek to aptly destabilize it. I guess we can circle back one more time talking about the notion of sometimes somebody is radical in the face of the status quo, and they say, oh, well, they're just crazy, or they're just deranged or stupid and stuff like that. Sometimes they are. Sometimes the person doing something so inherently antisocial, anti-life, anti-people, and it's just because they're awful. They've gone so far around the bend that they're just trying to hurt people because to them it's a net positive to hurt people and hurt as many people as possible. That's all they're going to be known for. People aren't going to go like, oh, well, they were shit, but they had a couple good ideas. I think whatever they have, you can probably find somewhere else better,
There's probably a lot of people Whoa, how did you do that? I thought you were upstairs this whole time. Like, did you jump out the window? Holy shit. I thought it was the 09A coming to kill us. In summary, 09A, very cringe, very sad. Like, it's the saddest combination of like violent people being violent and cringy shit being cringe.
Yeah, and then
And I look forward to everyone in the comments telling me that I don't actually understand anything about the 09A because I didn't read any of the books. I read the fucking books. It's all cover for dumb shit. It's dumb. You're dumb for liking it, and you're a Nazi probably. Fuck you.
man, when you know that your political ideology is so absolutely hated that you have to create like a fake mystical order to cover for it.
Guys, no, I'm not really. I don't really want a Aryan revolution. I'm trying to destabilize Western society with my Luciferian buds.
Come on, guys. The Imperium's really cool, man.
Come on. Don't you like Warhammer?
We are going to do a Patreon bonus episode where we actually get even further into this.
Oh God, yeah. We will not only read from some of the text so you can see the horrifyingness that is the 09A, but we're also going to talk about the recent developments where the 09A disbanded. Definitely really did that.
For sure, guy. Yeah, definitely really did. You don't have to worry about them anymore. You can go to sleep. It's okay. I promise. The 09A is not in the closet. They're not under your bed. They're gone. It's okay. Forget that whole thing we said earlier about decentralized pockets and cells without a hard and fast hierarchical structure. You know, they're gone.
Yeah, they're done. It's over.
They said Myatt was gone, so he's gone. They said it disbanded, so they disbanded. Don't think about it.
Just trust the Nazis. Well, with that, we need a palate cleanser, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So how goes the work? They already know. We led this one with it. Minnesota Voodoo.
We've been all on some Minnesota Voodoo.
Like literally before we recorded the episode, we did some Minnesota Voodoo.
Yep, Minnesota Voodoo all day. I did talk in the Discord where I had a funny story of I had a vehicle that my car had a blown head gasket, and frankly, it was just to fix. I think most people know it's like your head gasket blows. Unless you're really attached to it, it's probably not worth trying to fix. I just called it quits, and I was looking for a cheapo A to B just to get me back on the road. I did magic for it, where I did a ritual where I invoked one of the Zaragwen to help me find a vehicle, that sort of thing. I get a text from somebody about a vehicle they saw on the side of the road, and then they call me, and when they're describing it, this huge spider walks into my field of vision. The Zaragwen are the spider Loa of the Gnostic voodoo. So I saw that and it felt like that weird little coinky dink. And meanwhile, they're describing the series of coincidences of like, oh, well, I wasn't going to go up this road today, but you see, I had to go for this and that. And I drove up here yesterday and those cars weren't there. So I figured that this would be, they had just gotten put out, and I thought you might, blah, 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 blah. The Zaragwen and by extension, most of the Gnostic voodoo Loa spirits that they talk about are spirits of the dead. And that car was an estate sale. So literally a car from the dead. So it was like, oh, hey, the magic shit's for real. I forgot. So yeah, good times with Minnesota Voodoo. And also, I've done a lot more of the Birdio-esque type, like spirit art stuff where you invoke and you call up entities and stuff like that and ask them questions and things like that. And you have correspondence with them. And when it's over, you try to condense it all into artwork and imagery that really solidifies the energy or the experience that you had, so that you can keep that around and keep tapping into it. And that's fun just because it gives you an excuse to make art. What about you?
Definitely. I have also been getting down on the Minnesota Voodoo. I reread stuff from the Gnostic Voodoo workbook, and on Ash Wednesday, I took an oath that I was going to do a act of Minnesota Voodoo every day until Easter. And I'm following sort of the little prescriptions. Gay Day is one of the main Loa of a specific part of the Gnostic Voodoo workbook. For instance, he's given 3 masses you're supposed to perform on 3 different days, and I've done those for the last week. Before that, I was doing various calling to the spirits and so on. I had some interesting experiences. I saw a tribe of wolf children, spirits of the dead. Very fun.
That's
very
just
fun,
Minnesota.
interesting. Yeah, that's just Minnesota.
You
right?
saw the great state.
Yeah, but it's been a good time. It's been a good time.
I think that's their football team. Go Wolf Kids!
No, they're the Vikings.
Got more than one.
No, they don't.
Oh.
I did actually do some ontological graffiti spirit art inspired by some art from one of our members in the Discord and from you. I've been doing bootleg radionics is what I've been doing. Is I've set up my oscillator in my audio box to try to replicate that. And I did one with the intention of using the 3 of Wands as my focus, and I followed the stick pad method and everything. If you guys don't know about this, I'll do a thing on radionics later. I don't have time to explain all of it, but you basically end up with a frequency and a rate, and it's just playing some noise at you, and you listen to it. And I did that, and I painted this thing, and it felt powerful, and I've been talking to it. Got a name and everything. Very interesting.
That sounds exciting and fun, and I mean, it's more of just a call to action for you guys. Get out that $100 bill and write your social security card on it, along with all available bank information, and send it to the Minnesota Voodoo Spirits. Remember, Minnesota Voodoo, and so can you. And with that said,
this has been Chaos Magic News,
the only podcast that's telling you to keep your shoes on, please. It's really gross on this. This floor is disgusting. Sorry.
As always, if you would like to be a part of a clandestine, decentralized order with a very shallow pretense, pretending to be an actual esoteric group, you could go join us over at our Patreon. And if you do, you too will be in the following segment where we thank everyone who gives us $5 a month. So, thank you, Obsbleck. Thank you, Andrea WK. Thank you, Loki Sater. Thank you, Local. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Cios93. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Cursed T. And thank you to the new Patreon, Venus Christ. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Love that name. And thank you, Fedor Krasny. I know I mispronounced your name. We love you. Thank you so much. And a double thank you and apology for Acolyte 1 of the Ice Magic Meditation Society. I have no clue how we missed you last time, bud. Thank you.
You guys are the absolute best. And well, I won't say we couldn't do this show without you, but God, it really makes it easier.
We literally did the show before you. We will continue to do it, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, you guys are lovely people, and your support really means the world.
And of course, if you too would like to support us on Patreon, it's right there, patreon.com/chaosmagicnews. You get exclusive contents. We do 2 bonus episodes a month. Usually we do an informative one and then a fun one. This month we did one on the Amish practice of powwow.
And then we talked about the greatest cryptids known to man, rust gators and X-monkey. Oh, and a couple other ones. It was a whole iceberg. If you haven't gotten enough of us, you can always look at chaosmagicnews.com, where we'll have links to the pod, links to our interview series, and the interviews are coming back very soon.
Get ready.
Get ready. We actually got some very exciting people. We're hyped.
Oh yeah, we're pumped.
And then occasionally we'll have little articles written. I
promise you we will have more stuff written
we
this
will
year.
have more articles. If that still hasn't tickled your fancy, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, where we'll have
a spicy meme.
Get you some spicy memes and clips from the podcast that you just listened to.
I put a lot of work into those animations.
Really
damn
do.
it.
You really do. Oh, and we're on YouTube too. Keep forgetting about that. Which,
yeah, I feel like
now you got those high quality videos for YouTube.
Yeah. You can watch as much public domain footage and pictures of us as you want.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Wait, no.
What are we forgetting? What am I forgetting now?
You're forgetting the last word. stupid. All right, thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
What the hell are you doing?
Stop! Get some help.